Welcome back to Indiana Diecast Racing and the continuing action of the Final Fantasy Fracas. Today we've got the semifinals. Believe it or not, this is the second to last video of the entire tournament. In semifinals group number 1, we've got Rumble from Arlo Racing in his 107 gram baseline. He was voted number 2 with 30% of the vote to win this group. He's got a rematch with this driver, Numskull, in his light blue 93 gram bubble gunner. He was voted to win this group with 52% of the vote, and he was the top quarterfinal scorer, and he is the number 4 seed. Numskull again gets on the track. This one's his Sir Ominous that weighs 96 grams. He beat Flip 12-10. And then we've got Deuce from Filipiak Performance Diecast in his Street Shaker weighing 103 grams. He tied Numskull's Purple Bubble Gunner 13-13 last round. So we've got Rumble, Numskull, and Deuce. That's a little bizarre, but Numskull's Light Blue Bubble Gunner makes the pass in turn 2 and takes the lead. Rumble is still challenging Deuce for second, and Rumble has come out in front. Numskull's Bubble Gunner runs away with lap 1. Looks like Rumble is just ahead of Deuce. That was a great start and way to open the semifinals for Numskull's Light Blue Bubble Gunner. And I think if Numskull hadn't been there, Deuce probably would have won this lap, but he got on the way, and Rumble of Arlo Racing was able to hold on to second. And Numskull's on top and bottom after 1. Numskull's Sir Ominous on the pole for lap 2. He's being chased by Deuce. Here comes Rumble. Rumble may make the pass in turn 2. No! Numskull stays out front. It's Numskull, Rumble, Deuce, and then Numskull's Bubble Gunner. They round the final turn, and it's going to be Numskull, Rumble, Deuce, and Numskull. I have a feeling I'm going to say Numskull about 3,700 times during the video this today, because he's got 3 entries in the 2 groups. Another great lap for Numskull, though this time it was his other driver. And after 2, Rumble, without winning either lap, moves into a 1-point lead over both Numskull entries. Deuce, the significant underdog here in the semifinals, on the pole for lap 3 and gets out front. No one's going to challenge him. He's starting to pull away from Numskull's Bubble Gunner. They're through the S's. Oh, here comes Numskull. Numskull challenges. They both spin. Some chaos. Then they come to the line, and ooh, looks like Deuce will take the lap just ahead of Numskull as the pair get impacted by Numskull's Sir Ominous entry. They both got really loose in the final turn and hung up together on the final straight. And here comes Numskull's other entry. Fortunately, Deuce able to take the win for FPD. This couldn't be any closer. Deuce and Numskull's Bubble Gunner tied atop the group with 8. Numskull's other entry and Rumble only a point behind with 7 as we start the second half. I think I may have failed to mention, but we're running 8 laps today, not just the usual 4. Deuce gets back out front again, followed closely by both Numskull entries. Deuce leads him down the final straight and takes the win. Oh no! Numskull's Bubble Gunner is hung up on the wall. Oh, and Rumble deftly spins around him. Numskull's Bubble Gunner will take the first DNF of the day. And that's too bad, because he started that lap on the pole too, so that should have been some easy money. But Deuce, a highly underrated driver, no one expects him to win, gets out front, and he's able to stay out front and earn some really important points here to close it. Okay, now we're closed out with the first half, and Deuce is in the lead with 12, followed by Numskull's Sir Ominous. Neither one of those drivers was expected to really do anything this group, or at least they weren't expected to win it. Deuce out front again, followed by Numskull's Sir Ominous. Oh, Sir Ominous spins and gets smacked by his teammate. Deuce wins. Sir Ominous is second. Bubble Gunner is third, just ahead of Arlo's Rumble. So 5 laps down, and Deuce is starting to build a not insignificant lead here. He's up to 16 with 3 laps to go, a full 3 points again ahead of Sir Ominous, while Rumble and the Bubble Gunner way behind with only 10. Rumble on the pole for the next lap, and Deuce is going to pull ahead again. Sir Ominous slots into second. Min challenging for first. Ooh, this is the closest the group has been all day, and it's going to be Deuce, followed by Numbskull. The front pair slowing a little bit in the S's and around the Savage Square. And rounding the final turn, it's going to be Deuce, Numbskull, and Rumble holds on to third just ahead of Numbskull's Bubble Gunner. And Deuce clinches, I think, at least a tie for one of the spots in the next round. Numbskull's Bubble Gunner on the pole for lap 7. He's got to make something happen here. And his teammate, the only other driver in the picture, oh, there's Rumble. We may have lost Deuce. And it's Numbskull's Bubble Gunner, and then his Sir Ominous, and Rumble's on his roof. This is a double DNF. And we're going to Echo Base. Yep. Deuce is on his roof, and this lap could not have turned out better for Numbskull. But Deuce clinches a spot in the semifinals. Numbskull only 1 point behind with 1 lap to go. Sadly, I think Rumble has been mathematically eliminated, so we're just racing to accrue points and figure out which one of these Numbskull entries is definitely moving on to the finals. Sir Ominous out front, followed closely by Deuce. It's almost like Deuce is protecting him as they come down the final straight, and Numbskull's Sir Ominous will take the final lap of the day. And Rumble will end his tournament with the DNF just off to the side and over the safety barrier of the final straight. Oh, and we've got a tie. Numbskull's Sir Ominous and Deuce of Filipiak Performance Diecast tie for the win of the group. We'll see them in the finals. We move on to Group 2, and we've got another Arlo entry, Motor Tom's in his 91-gram Lethal Diesel. He was second in this group's voting with 30%, and he's going to have a rematch with Googly G. But this is Flip from Flips Racing in his Zoom In, weighing 165 grams. He got 38% of the vote and is expected to win this group. Numbskull's third entry is his Purple Bubble Gunner, weighing 98 grams. He was only voted third, and he's the number 6 seed in the semifinals today. And finally, Googly G of G4 Diecast Racing is in his Country Club Muscle, weighing 99 grams. And he only garnered 5% of the vote. He's the number 7 seed. So we've got Motor Tom's, Flip, Numbskull, and Googly G to close out the racing for the day. Motor Tom's quickly out front. No one's going to catch him. So he leads them through Hoth and Echo Base. Numbskull's close behind, but it looks like Flip has flipped. And I think Googly G is stuck behind him, so it's going to be a double DNF. And Motor Tom's able to slide across the line just ahead of Numbskull. A double DNF, not the way you want to start a semifinal group, but it happens. Googly G just too slow to get around Flip in Echo Base. So Motor Tom's and Arlo, with surprisingly Arlo's last chance to get a driver through to the finals. I thought we might have been having 2 or 3 of his. Numbskull on the pole, followed closely by Googly G, and he'll hold the lead. Googly G slots into second. Motor Tom's now back in third. Flip is well in the back, but I think he's still rolling. They round the final turn, and lap 2 is going to be Numbskull. Ooh, Googly G rolls across for second on his roof, or on his eyeballs, I guess. I think he might have taken some damage there. Yeah, he's missing some lenses in there. But anyways, he's on the pole, but Numbskull and Motor Tom's are going to make the pass in turn 2. So we've got Numbskull's purple bubble gunner now in the lead. Of his 3 cars, this is probably the one not expected to advance, and it's Numbskull, Motor Toms, Googly G, and Flip on lap 3. The longer cars pairing up on the inside lane, just not able to compete with the speed of Numbskull and Motor Toms here on this lap. And after 3, Numbskull's purple bubble gunner in the lead with 11, Motor Toms in second with 9. Flip in trouble, only accruing 2 points across the 3 laps so far, but he's on the pole for this one. He's got to have a good finish. Whoa! But Googly G turns on the jets and takes off. Flip and Motor Tom's almost a non-factor in the back right now. They round the Savage Square, and it's going to be Googly G, Numbskull, Flip, and Motor Toms. Taking another look at the start, I mean, Flip had a good start out of the start gate, but man, as soon as they rounded turn 1, Googly G put all eyes forward and just took off. So at the midway point, Numbskull and Motor Toms on top, Googly G not far behind, and Flip with only 4 points so far. He's in trouble. They changed starting positions, and Numbskull gets the pole for lap 5. He's followed closely by Googly G, but this pair are well ahead of the other drivers. Numbskull's going to run away with this lap. Googly G is second, Motor Toms is third, and Flip is again fourth. Not able to finish better than third so far. Things are not looking good for him, but Numbskull well out front now. 3 laps to go. Googly G on the pole for this one, followed closely by Flip, and Numbskull's going to make the pass before they even get to turn 2. He wants to put this one away right now. I can't blame him. That would give Numbskull 2 cars in the finals. Numbskull will take this lap, and Flip makes a last-second pass over Googly G to claim a much-needed second place. His best finish of the day so far. Taking a closer look, Googly G spins out, loses a lot of speed, and Flip flies past. And Numbskull clinches a spot in the finals with a whole 2 laps to go. It looks like it's mostly a battle between Googly G and Motor Toms, but Flip not out of it yet, and he's on the pole for the second to last lap. And Googly G is going to blast down that hill again. He's out front. Numbskull slots into second. He just wants to protect that car for the finals. But he's still gaining on Googly G. And makes a last second pass a la Flip. And Googly G loses another point on the final straight. That's 2 laps he should have won. Or should have finished a position better and did not. Numbskull pads his stats. Googly G still in second, 3 points ahead of Motor Toms as they head to the final lap, and this will be Flip's final lap of the tournament. Motor Toms on the pole. He leads into turn 2. Flip unable to make the pass, so Motor Toms leads with Numbskull right behind, and his competition, Googly G, way in the back. And Motor Toms wins the final lap. That's what he needed. And Googly G will not finish the final lap. He stops behind the Millennium Falcon, and that will allow Motor Toms to vault past him on the final lap and achieve the 4th spot in the finals. So there's the final group. We're going to have 2 entries from Numbskull, Deuce from Filipiak Performance Diecast, and Motor Toms of Arlo Racing. I want to thank G4 Diecast Racing and Flips Racing for participating in this tournament. They gave it a really good go and made it past more than 99% of the other drivers. But there you have it. Motor Toms, Numbskull, and Deuce. This has been Jim D for Indiana Diecast Racing. Be sure to check in next time for more slightly above mediocre diecast racing and the culminating action of the Final Fantasy Fracas.